My name is Clarissa, and my business is Vivid Fitness. It's fairly new, but I'm hoping that over time it will start to grow and expand. It's Pilates, it's HIIT, and a little bit of pole dancing. So a little bit of fun stuff here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So do you do like the whole big box circuit and stuff when you're like in the States and all that stuff as well, or have you always done like small boutique gyms or?
I have done a combination of both. I used to work for Retro Fitness. I'm sure you guys probably have that on the East Coast. And then I've also worked for the gym on post. So I've had the opportunity to work with soldiers, which is
Okay.
something that I really, yeah, that's when I really got a chance to work with like men, which was cool because that's really what I like to do. Yeah, because I'm a very tough person. I'm very physically strong. So
Yes.
I like being able to challenge people in that way because that's
Mhm.
what I like to do.
Right.
So working with the soldiers was pretty intense. They always
Mm.
thought Pilates was a joke. They're like, oh, I don't want to do that, but
Yeah.
then they saw it and they're like, whoa, this is intense.
That man, that's yes. I'm
Yeah.
trying not to be like like you say something, oh, I want strong guys and stuff. I'm sure there's gonna be some women that are gonna be like, whoa, strong
Let me
women out there
rephrase.
too.
Yes, of course, because there are female soldiers as well. So, but I will say majority of the army is men. So that's why I said that. So I don't want to be biased or anything. Um, but yes, I did have the opportunity to train quite a few women who were in the army. They were captains, some of them majors. So they were pretty high ranking in the military too. So it was just a great experience. And I mean, I'm still living in it. So it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds like a talk about that's I think you're the first person to come with that as your niche, so to speak, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah, military life, or military life, so to speak, because we're always, every couple of years, we're always moving.
mm,
And when there's a good chance that I may be moving within the next year. I might be moving to DC. I don't know. It's
yeah,
just, you just gotta be able to be resilient in the military and
yeah,
also with business, especially with the pandemic. So it's the
right.
same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess with your business then, obviously it's as portable as it can be, right? Everything's virtual and stuff like that. Have you mapped out what that looks like as you scale it out, or are you just kind of just going with the flow with it? Which are both are fine.
I am trying to do a little bit of both.
Hmm.
I'm trying to find my niche and find my right area that is appealing to a certain clientele. But I'm also kind of going with the flow because I was doing pretty solid in Texas and things were starting to pick up, and then it was like, whoop, got to go to V-Spot in Germany.
Yes.
So, so it's like all the time I have to kind of like figure out, start over, time change difference. So I guess so it's a little bit of both for me right now.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
have any clients that follow you like wherever you are in the world?
I have actually. There was a client that I had back when I lived in Germany the first time in Grafenwehr. I used to train her in person because I met her at the gym. And then she ended up being stationed at Fort Hood too, which is pretty cool. It was like, what are the chances of that? And
Yeah.
so now that I'm in Germany, we're still able to keep in contact. And she's been a client of mine for a couple of years now. And
Hmm.
then a couple of clients that I've had at Fort Hood or when I was working in Texas, a couple of them have followed me here to Germany. So that's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I think it's fascinating working with soldiers and kind of on the guy tip for a second. I just naturally I just switch it and say, okay, well, it'll be the same as training athletes or like football players or guys who just kind of think to just
Yeah.
muscle their way through the full workout.
Hmm.
What has
Hmm.
been your experience teaching these guys Pilates and what kind of tips would you give us for working with that population?
Well, to be honest, I don't necessarily tell them it's Pilates because I feel like, and when I've said things in the past about calling it Pilates, they don't even give it a second thought. They kind of just goes in one ear and out the other.
Hmm.
So what I do is I call it a little bit more like mobility training or like movement or something to help you get better on like your PT scores. And I
Yes.
do try to incorporate moves on specifically that help with their certain reps and their PT scores.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how I finesse it. I've also had the opportunity to lead PT twice for an airborne unit, um, as well as I can't even remember the other unit at the moment, but I know I did airborne at one point. Oh, human resource unit. That's what it was.
Okay.
And I just try to market it as not Pilates. I know that sounds maybe not the best, but I just know that in the past, in my previous experience, when I call it Pilates, they just kind of turn the light side, like, oh, let me guess, is it yoga? You know, so I get that a little bit. So,
Right. All right.
That's what I do.
Yeah. So then what's your elevator pitch then? Like if someone says, what do you do? Like one, how do you answer that? And as soon as you drop the Pilates word, how do you explain to them what Pilates is?
Well, I explained to them that it's resistance training and that it's helping me get stronger and it's helping me move my joints in a way that's safe and helps me just overall get stronger. So my marketing tip, believe it or not, I lived in the gym prior to the COVID. I was always at the gym. And so people would see me, and anybody who knows me, I have pretty toned arms. And they would see my arms. And then they would look at me like, well, what else do you do? Like, what are you doing? And I just will sometimes say, well, I do mobility training and I do Pilates. So I kind of slide in the mobility training and then push the Pilates at the end. And so they're like, oh, really? Well, let me see. What is this about? And then I'll get them in a class or I will get them as a private client. And I don't even tell them they're doing Pilates half the time. We just move. And pretty much everybody I've trained for the past few years, they've all done Pilates, whether or not they realize it or not, I don't know. But they've done it.
Right. I just laugh because I'm like, well, Joseph Pilates didn't call it Pilates. He called it
No,
control. Yeah, he called it like movement. He called it his title. Like he was like, he called himself like a director of physical culture. Like at no point, like we start to market stuff in such a way that, but like you're doing there, just whatever appeals to the people that are there. It's kind of like,
exactly.
You know, it's like we say, like you train the body that's in front of you, right? Like you don't just go with the rote memory stuff. You just work with what you have, right? I've been learning that a lot through these conversations, you know, like that's that reminder that we just need to speak to who's in front of us, sort of thing.
Precisely. And, you know, I don't have a dancer background. I never danced a day in my life. And so I was an athlete. I played softball, volleyball, and basketball, and played softball a little bit in college. And I've always just been like a grit type of, like in your face type of girl. And so, you know, that's kind of how I teach Pilates, and that's how I like to do Pilates. And so I think, you know, marketing wise, that's how I was able to maybe get some of the soldiers to come to my classes or kind of like self-promote just by looking and feeling strong, because there were soldiers who were struggling on their PT scores to the brink where they were like this close to getting kicked out if they didn't get their scores up. So, you know, that's how I was able to kind of help and get them going and get them strong and ready to kick butt in the Army.
Nice. How old's your daughter?
She is terrible too. It's like I don't want to say she's terrible, but she's 2.
So that's 2 years out. That's 2 years out for you, like, you know, having a baby then.
It is.
Obviously.
It is.
Right. So then how was that recovery for you and how did you handle that? Because you see so much in the media around women and getting their body back and like, you know, I got to get back in them jeans and like, what's your thoughts on that and how you handle that?
Oh my goodness. Don't even get me started on that. That was honestly one of, and I'm going to be completely transparent. It was one of the most, I would say, darkest times in my life after having a child, to be honest with you. Yeah. Because I looked at myself and I didn't recognize my body. It was it was just hard. Because I saw this extra skin on my stomach. I saw like these marks. And as a person who'd always been like relatively toned and fit, it was just a hard pill to swallow. And there was a period where I did go through, I guess you could say postpartum.
Postpartum.
You know, I try to use that word lightly because I wasn't clinically diagnosed. But there was definitely some depression going on. And to the point where I did actually have to get somebody to come in and talk to me and help me get through it because my mood, I just wasn't right mentally.
Couldn't shake it, eh?
No. And then on top of that, my husband then left shortly after we had the baby, because the Army called. So that's just what they do. Like, so
Mm,
the Army had to take him away for a couple of months. So I was, I was a new mom. I had this new
yes.
body, and I had to pretty much, at the time, it felt like I was doing it by myself. And
Right.
it was tough. And so with that recovery process, it took me a couple months to actually start getting right. And that just came through talking to people.
Hmm.
Um, Even looking at Instagram and seeing people doing Pilates, I couldn't look at it. It just made me frustrated.
Really.
Yeah, it did. It was
No
very, very
inspiration.
frustrating.
It was more frustration
It
than
was more
inspiration.
frustrating because these were things that I used to be able to do that I couldn't do anymore. So
Yes.
it was very, very tough for me. And then I finally just decided to put my big girl pants on. And I was like, all right, Clarissa, like, you're either going to sit here and you're going to be upset and mope and just let the world pass you by, or
Hmm.
you're going to, get up off your tail, or you know what, and try to get back to where you were. Maybe you'll never be the same. Maybe you won't, but maybe you will. So why not give it a shot? And so at that point, I want to say maybe around the 5 month mark, I then found like a Pilates instructor locally.
Hmm.
And she came to my home and she started training me because at the time I was like, okay, I want to try to get ready for this next level of Pilates, this intermediate mat
Yes.
that I
Yes.
was trying to do. So I set a goal. And long story short, the certification ended up getting canceled. So I was like, now we're back to level one, or, back to
Yeah.
round one. It's frustrating. And then, but I still kept training. I got stronger. Then I was able to go back to the gym. Then I started doing a little bit of Orange Theory and things to just kind of like lose some of that extra body weight. And I started boxing. And of course, I always did Pilates throughout. And then finally, I want to say last June was when I finally looked at myself and I was like, you go, girl, you rock. so, so, so it took a little while. It took about a year or
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but I got there and I was like, all right, now I feel good. Let's try to do this.
Right. And would
Yeah.
you say now that your body, like, it's not like you're getting your old body back, do you feel like your body's actually better than it was before, stronger in your weakest
Yes.
links, all those different things, even though you may
Yes,
not
I
be
do.
at that number per se?
Yes. Yes, I'm close to the number that I was before I had the baby, but yes, I feel physically stronger because I know how to rehabilitate. What's the word I'm looking for? I know how to train my body now in a way
Yes.
that is productive and it's safe and
Hmm.
it allows me to move better. I have a lot more range of motion than I ever did before.
Yeah.
I'm not nearly as
Right.
stiff. Um, I'm able to take my Pilates practice to the next level thanks to Cecile because she definitely played an integral
Oh,
part.
nice.
And yeah, she's awesome.
She is.
She actually paid for my level two cert, which I just completed with Peak.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I'm super excited about that. So I couldn't have done it without her. Essentially, she's
That's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I did go through
That's such a
the
good story.
corporate. She's awesome. Listen,
Yeah. Yeah.
you guys are awesome. You guys always inspire me. Just watching you and what you're doing and what you've been doing over the past year or so, maybe even more than that. But I've been looking at it for about a year. um,
Yeah. It started in
it's
March. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I've been
Hmm.
following you on Facebook for a little, or not Facebook, Instagram for a little bit.
It's
So
oh,
that's
cool.
probably why.
Yeah.
So that's probably what it is. But
Yeah.
just being inspired by everyone that I'm seeing, with the Black Girl Pilates group. I know Sonia
Hmm.
added me to that back in 2017, and just
Yeah.
having people who are always going to first understand what you're going through,
Yes.
and being a good resource and supporting you. I mean, it's just
Hmm.
been an amazing experience. So that's why I will always do Pilates and be a part of the community because I don't plan on retiring. I'm going to do it till I die. So,
Thank
so,
you.
so,
Stay with
so,
me.
so that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, for real. I mean, that's why, among all the other things that brought me to Pilates, like, looking around and seeing there's no guys, and then seeing that
Right.
there's no brothers at all in it, and
Mm-hmm.
all these different things. The other thing was like saying, like, I don't have to be doing squats and deadlifts the rest of my life. I can do verbal
Nope.
cues, 99, just roll down, come up, leg circle, nice. Like, you could
Exactly.
just chill on it,
Exactly.
right? So,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
obviously I'll keep moving, but I like the fact that it's something where there is a longevity to it because we're going to be doing it ourselves for the rest of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know, it's funny. I was thinking, I used to do all these like shopping channel gigs like before the quarantine, and we'd have like, you know, the Pilates chair on there and stuff. And a friend was like, you know, this is really good. Like, you know, like how much do I have to do this before I have this really fit body? And it's like, you have to do this for life. Like, this isn't like you just do it for
Right.
6 weeks and then you stop. Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
you're doing
Yeah.
this till further notice. This is why we
Yeah.
do. Like, this is what
That's the
Pilates
thing
is, right?
about challenges. Like, challenges are great because they kind of get you motivated, but then there's always like this point where like you finish it and you're like, well, I guess I'm okay now, so I don't need to do it
Yes.
anymore. So yeah, that's the tricky part about doing challenges and things like that. But yeah,
Yes.
this is definitely something that you want to keep doing for life. I see so many put on there, but I want to do squats and deadlifts for the
Yes.
rest of my
I
life.
was just gonna speak to
Hey,
that too, Kara. Yeah.
I think there's nothing to me. There's nothing wrong with doing squats and deadlifts because
No.
essentially you do. I sit
Right.
I sit in the chair. I'm going to be doing that the rest
Yes.
of my life, and I'm going to be
Yes.
bending over to pick up things the rest of my life. So yeah, you will
Yes.
be doing this the rest of your life. Totally makes sense.
Exactly it. You know, and it's so funny. I almost can retract that statement because I realize I personally will be doing squats and the rest of my life. But I think there's just the verbal
Right.
cues and different ways of teaching people. Having like so many tools in your toolbox is kind of the point
Right.
I was making with that. Yeah, like, you know, we can go technical on that too. I agree with you, Kara. You're right. Yes.
I know, right?
Yes.
I know.
So I was gonna say though, when you were talking about how you kind of got through this, I just wrote down set a goal.
Hmm.
And I think that that's one of the things that we sometimes forget. Like we get in this habit of exercising as opposed to training. And once you set a goal and start training towards that goal, is sometimes that's enough to kick you out of this routine of just doing the same thing and just giving up because you're not seeing a number yet and all those different
Right.
things. There's a big difference between exercising and training. And I think that when we get our people into this mindset of training, that's what gets
Hmm.
them out of this routine of beating themselves up
Hmm.
because they didn't exercise today.
Right. Right. I 1,000%
Yeah. So
agree. I definitely think, there is a difference between training and exercising because, even going back to when I was playing a sport, it was a lot different. You just get into this mindset, this Mamba mentality when you're going through a
yes.
training,
Yes.
and, it definitely for me, I'm all in. It's like, it's pretty much
Hmm.
all or nothing. And it's sometimes it's pretty bad because I will not pay attention to anything else, which, when you have a kid and a husband, it's kind of difficult. I kind of get a
Right.
strain on
Yeah.
everything. Um, but yes, there's definitely something that clicks in your brain mentally. And I think that's
Yeah.
what did it for me back when I was postpartum and I signed up for that training. That was that
Hmm.
moment where it was like, okay, it's go time, Clarissa. It's now or never. Let's jump. So
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that idea of there's a difference between training and exercise
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
And I also, I mean, what you just said there too, like I love the Mamba mentality piece, right? And
Hmm.
I spend most of the time talking with people who you, I'm talking them off this ledge of, you know, not taking time for themselves,
Hmm.
self-care. You know, like all
Hmm.
these things are important, but then there's like what you just said there, where you can just lock in and you have to remind yourself that you have a kid, remind yourself
Hmm.
that, you know what I mean?
I
Like
know.
that actually
No.
is, in a sense, I'm like, good for you, because I mean, a lot of times we don't actually carve out time for ourselves that makes us
Hmm.
better for the other things we have going on in our world.
Hmm. Yeah, no doubt. I definitely agree with that. I think trying to, and this is something that I'm still working on and struggling with too, is
Sure.
trying to find time outside of like exercise and Pilates because I'm very, I'm somewhat of a compulsive person. So like if I'm
Okay.
in it, I am just
You're
all the
locked
way
in.
in it. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
locked in. It's kind of scary. And so, because I would just go into isolation, it's not, yeah, I don't recommend it for everybody,
Yes.
but it's just something that I just really get that deep, deep focus. So just trying to find that balance between, okay, I'm able to have this deep focus, but then also making sure that I have time for like my daughter and my husband and doing things outside of exercise. I think it's important too. So I guess I'm kind of like the opposite.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. I posted your picture of you. Sage, is that your daughter's name?
Yes, Sage.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. That picture of you just doing your workout, and she's just dancing away.
Yeah.
And I just jokes. I just watched that like 15 times because it's so funny. And
She's
because
a trip.
my kids used to do that too, right? Like just they just love movement. And I just put up that quote, which I've said a million times. Like with children, there's a lot more things that are caught than taught.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's a perfect example of it. If they see you moving, they see dad like throwing down those band workouts and stuff like that. They're like, "Where's my band? Where's my workout? What do I get to do?"
Hmm.
Right? So that sets you up to not have to have that conversation about like you need to start exercising now. When you're older, they'll just love movement. They'll just know it as this is what we do. We just move.
Right. Exactly. It's my hope that she wants to teach exercise. Maybe it will be Pilates, maybe not, but that's my goal. And the on my Instagram, I also recently put a video of my husband and her. He was doing the bands and she
Yes, I
was
saw the
like
one.
squatting. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
squatting with him. So I mean, she always wants her own little band and something that she can do too, whether I'm doing Pilates or even like doing any type of pole dance or just push-ups or anything. She always tries to hop in. So I'm hoping that she sees what mom's doing and maybe with that she can just continue to pass it on, maybe to her kids or somebody else. So that's the game plan there for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got to be infectious.
exactly. Pay it forward, like
Yeah, I
Cecile
was gonna.
said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can we talk about your pole fitness? Now, I have like one of my friends
Sure.
is like national teacher, educator, and I had a lady who brought pole dancing to Turkey on. If you ever find it, Joy G Wild. So she has like an amazing story of like being the very first person to bring it to Turkey and almost being excommunicated and like the TV station getting sued for having her on like Turkey's Got Talent, like crazy story. So I'd just love to hear from you how you found it and what you think about it because it's crazy strength needed for that.
How I found it. Well, let's see. I started pole dancing actually a couple of years ago. I just was looking for, I don't know, I just was doing things on, I was just looking for things online to do.
Mhm.
And at the time, I was like, okay, I'm just going to give it a shot and try it. And it was just kind of casual, something fun to do.
Mhm.
And then I want to say maybe I took a couple years off. And then after I had a baby, I decided to get back into it.
Mhm.
And I realized that I missed it. And so for me, it's been something that helped me feel sexy again,
Yeah.
because I lost a lot of that, I think, after I had a baby. It helped me feel confident.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, let me tell you something. When you are spinning around that pole, you do feel pretty badass. I'm just saying. You do. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. You do.
Yeah.
You feel like you're floating in the
Yes.
air. So that's the beauty of it. And I've been able to combine some of like the Pilates that I do with the
Mhm.
pole. And
Yes.
so that's something that I'm hoping to continue to expand on and grow, within my business is finding a great way to combine Pilates and pole fitness together. But it's been quite a journey. I don't know if I can say like the real reason why I got into pole
Sure.
fitness on here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
amongst friends. Why not?
All right. All right. Full transparency. So I was in college. All right. And I was looking at things online. Um, and I needed some money for some books and some things. So
Mm.
I got into dancing, and that's how I was able to do it for a little bit. And then I did take some time off.
Mhm.
And when I did decide to get back into pole dancing, it was no longer at a club, but instead I got in at a studio and started getting back into the exercise point of it.
Yes.
Full
Yeah.
transparency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the story, right? Like
That's the story.
that's the story. And
Oh
here we
gosh.
are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
I will say that it did help me pay for my first Pilates certification. It did.
Yeah.
I took what I made and I said, I don't want to do this forever. And I saved my money and I got my first certification, and it gave me a skill set. I think it's very, very important. I just to say that it's very important to invest in a skill.
Yes.
And so the fact that I
Yeah.
am now able to have a set of skills where no one can take that from me is super important. So, granted that is my story, full transparency,
Mhm.
but I am glad that I went through that to get to where I am now.
Right. And there's, yeah, exactly. And as you see the comments coming through right now, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, so friends have done that and done the same. It's your journey, be proud. Let's, that's real. Thanks for being open, sharing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's
I know
no
it's just
shame
a
in
little
that, right? Like
embarrassing a little bit. Yeah.
not in the least, you know, and you're strong, you're
Yeah.
confident. And it's interesting how, post baby and in your path of trying to shake your postpartum, and also I just recognized you. Thank you for being so sensitive in, talking about that postpartum depression. Some people have it really, really heavy, and we're not discounting anyone else's experience, but your experience is real.
Mm-hmm.
Your experience is your experience, right? So, and just
Right.
saying that you came back to that and you found that identity and that sexiness, and
Mm-hmm.
fill in all the blanks there in that, to come back to that is key, right?
Yes, exactly. I just wanted to feel confident again. I just wanted to feel good about myself again.
Mm-hmm.
And, for me, it took a long time. Not saying that
Yeah.
before I had a baby, I felt like the hottest thing on the block. No, but I felt good
Mm-hmm.
enough where I could wear like a crop top or, wear certain things and, walk
Yes.
down the street and just, feel hot.
Right. Yeah.
And, after the baby, I felt like that was taken away from me. I felt like I had to fall into this role of, now I'm a mom, so I have to be the certain way and I have to
Mm-hmm.
act this way and talk this way and better cover up. You're a mom now. Can't do
Right.
this. You're a
You have
mom
to be
now.
proper now, right? You have to,
Yeah, and
yeah, yeah.
that's never been me. I've always liked to march to the beat of my own drum. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that I was able to, find some resources and, lean and have a good support team. And
Yes.
even from people from afar who didn't even realize that they were inspiring me, like such as
Love
like
that.
things in the Black Girl Pilates group,
Yes.
and just seeing different things, when I did feel comfortable looking at Facebook and Instagram again for inspiration. It felt good to see it. It felt really,
Mm-hmm.
really good to see it. And
Yes.
so over time, I was just able, like I said, to put on my big girl pants and kind of push through it. I think there's something to be
Yeah.
said about the word resilient. Um,
Yes.
and it's a word, it's a word that is so important to me, and I carried the word with me since I was 14. A basketball coach, she made us all learn that word.
Mm.
The Webster definition, the ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. Still remember it to this day. And then,
Misfortune or change.
yes, yes, that
Misfortune
is the
or
definition. Yep,
change.
yep,
Mm.
that is the definition of that word. It ended up
Yes.
becoming my line name because I am in a sorority, Sigma Gamma Rho. So if there's any sorors on there, yep. um, and
You're hardcore.
I am. I try to be. And, that word has just always meant something to me. Even
Yes.
being in the army, I hear the word resiliency a lot. So that's
Yes.
how I just try to approach life, and anything that I go through, I just try
Hmm.
to stay resilient and just try to
Yes.
adjust. You know,
Right.
the world's going to
Yep.
keep spinning. So I got to
Hmm.
keep going as long as I'm here.
Do you use
Yeah.
the word agile much?
I don't, but I feel like I should.
Because I mean, like, one thing to be resilient, right? You could just absorb that and be able to do it. There's another thing to be agile. That hits you. Okay, so what's my next pivot? How do I make my way out of this? Like, how do I adjust and keep moving forward in spite of the fact that this just hit me?
I like that. I always think of agile, like agility, like a cat. I never correlated it with that. but I like it.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
incorporate that in my word bank.
Yes,
Yeah.
your word bank. Nice. I'm gonna incorporate the word bank in my word bank. That's I like that.
Yeah. I like it.
Because the cat agile, yes, but I mean, maybe it's my football background. I think of like a running back going through the hole. He's got to be able to just change direction on a
That's
dime,
true. That's very, very true. Agility.
right?
Yeah. Did you coach football?
A little bit. Like my son plays flag and stuff like that. But
Okay.
yeah, I played university ball for a bit. So, but that's
Oh.
like my main sport, and that's still my passion. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I like it. Are you like what's your team? What team do you like?
I follow players more than teams, I find,
Okay.
So like I'll watch a guy go through I went to Michigan's football camp when I was a kid. I played
Hmm.
Canadian university ball, so I follow, Go Blue.
Oh.
So I'll follow guys and just watch them go into the league and watch them play, on Sundays, that sort of thing. But I don't really necessarily follow a team. And
Mm-hmm.
I've semi-boycotted the NFL right now because I think they've been punks with this whole Black Lives Matter stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so so
Yeah.
anyway, so that being said, I always follow players. I'll support players more than teams. So that's my thing.
Got it. See, I'm the opposite. I'm a hardcore Dallas Cowboys fan.
Nice. Texas girl.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually not from Texas. I'm from the Philadelphia region. So it was hard
Oh
growing up.
no.
It's
No,
hard
I was
growing
gonna
up with those
say.
Eagle fans. It
Yeah.
was tough. And then I actually did have the opportunity to coach football back in 2017. So
Okay.
that also kind of helped me get more guys and more soldiers because I forced the football team. Well, I guess you could say, yeah, I forced them. I
They're
forced
afraid
them
of
to
you.
do
You force
Pilates.
them.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did.
Yeah.
And that, let me tell you something. I coach 12 to 15-year-old boys. Bless
Yes.
anyone who has that age group right now, because oh my God.
Yes.
That was an experience. 12 to
Hmm.
15-year-olds and just a constant back and forth. And oh man, that was an experience though. It was fun, but whew, they were tough. They were tough on me too. They knew I wasn't that
Yes.
much older than them. So they tried to get away with certain things, and I had to be extra tough and extra
Yeah.
to them.
That
Yeah.
age group,
So
man. Like I've two of them in my home. My son and my stepson are 14 and 13. So
you got it.
yeah, I get it. And because they're like that age group, like my son, I could teach those guys Pilates. Like one's a high level hockey player, the other guy's a high level basketball player, and they can stay locked, but then they can also be space cadets at the same time, right? So it depends on what day.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like
You never
you
know what you're
got
gonna
yeah,
get.
you never know
It's
what
it's
you're gonna
literally a flip of a coin. You don't know what personality you're gonna get today.
get. Yep,
Are they gonna be cool? Are they gonna listen? Or are they gonna do the complete opposite?
right.
You never know. So it's really a
It,
toss up.
it's kind of
Yeah,
like the rest of our clients too. Like sometimes they can just be jokers, and other times they're just there and locked and ready to go, right? So
exactly. Or they can be emotional and tell
yep,
you like a very emotional story. You just really
yes,
don't know what you're gonna get. Yeah.
right, yeah, so fun.
Shooting
So
competitive.
So in the midst of that, who really is like your ideal client? The person that would reach out to you and you'd be like, I'm gonna train you for free because this is just my funnest person to be around.
Oh, my ideal client. It would be, can I say a person?
Sure. Yeah.
Serena Williams. I'd love to train her.
Okay.
I just
Yes.
I've looked up to her for the past 20 years or so. Whenever she
Right.
had them beads in her hair is when I started watching her.
Yes.
So I
So
would that would be
that's
somebody
great.
like her. Yeah.
Okay, so unpack that a little bit more. So tell me why Serena Williams? Because that becomes your ideal client, right? So
Hmm.
we're your ideal client is a Serena Williams. What
Yeah.
does she look like? Why is that?
I say that because I know she's going to come in there physically strong. And
Okay.
so, I like the idea of helping her get stronger in a way that can make her better at her sport or skill for a very long time.
Yes.
So that's why I want to take something that's good and like make it better.
Yes.
Then there's nothing wrong with starting, at a foundation level, which I don't
Hmm.
mind, because I think everybody, I think it's good for not just the person, but me as a teacher to
Yes.
sometimes scale it back and like revisit certain things and
For
kind of
sure.
remind myself
That's
as,
how we get
where I
sharp.
am.
Yeah.
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 So I think that's good too. but I just really like the idea of, taking a person or taking something that's already like really good that thinks, nah, maybe I don't need this or maybe I don't need that. And then like blowing their mind because they are now
Yes.
doing something or thinking about something in a way that they've never thought about before.
Right. So, and two people are at the front door to your studio. One of them is a Serena Williams, strong elite level athlete that does no Pilates, or maybe has done something, does moving before, and someone who has never ever even heard of Pilates and just walked in off the street.
Hmm.
For you, you'd be like, let me take Serena, whereas someone else may be like, I love the fact that I have a blank canvas. I don't have to
Mm.
undo someone else's teaching. I don't have to, you know what I mean? Like they're not coming in saying, I want a six pack from abs and I worked for this person for 7 years, so I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like some people love that blank canvas and other
Hmm.
people like that elite athlete they can bring from here to here, right? So
Right.
it's fascinating. That's why I love asking that question because everyone has their niche and everyone has their area of passion.
Right. What's yours? What would you
Um,
say yours is?
I definitely men. I love working with men. And just same thing as you. People who are already have an understanding of movement and recognize that this is the missing link for
Hmm.
their fitness, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Pilates is going to make them strong in their weakest links.
Hmm.
So I love working with basketball guys. I love, any athlete,
I
but
did see
men's,
that.
yeah, yeah. But men specifically, just because I know that, they have their preconceived ideas of what Pilates is and, showing them that it's designed by a man for men and that it's going to speak to those tight muscles and that limited mobility and it's going to make you stronger.
Hmm.
And yeah, so that's my area of passion. Like my world stops for that,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. Do you find that that's been, impactful when you say to them it's designed by a man for a man, and then like they see a picture, and I'm being so serious. They'll see a
Yep.
picture of like Joseph Pilates and his tidy whities. Do you feel like that? Do you feel
I
like
don't show
that
them that picture.
helps?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't show that
Just
picture.
wonder.
It's funny enough that you say that though, because like if you see those pictures on the wall behind me, right? Like those pictures were taken of me, and my wife was able to get them converted to
Hmm.
charcoal pictures and put up there because there was actually no public domain pictures of men doing Pilates. We couldn't find
Right.
any, so we had to physically make them. Yeah, so that's up there just to say like, look, there's guys that do Pilates. I guess, well, there's me doing
Yeah.
Pilates, but
Right.
um, but I think that there needs to be more images of that, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm trying to put like a lot of content out there so that people like you can say, look, there are guys that do Pilates, and it's not
Hmm.
an old white German guy in tidy whities. Like here's a guy
Right.
like that is
Right.
doing Pilates that looks like you, right? Like, 'cause I mean,
Exactly.
like in our skin tone, like how many people? That's the thing. Like we need to see ourselves doing it, or we're gonna figure that it's not for us.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it is really only the elite, like, like you hear, I use it all the time, like LeBron James does Pilates,
Yep. I thought.
right? I have that post on my thing where he's saying, he's talking about what he does in his off season. He's in an interview and he's like, yeah, my people tell me to stop altogether, don't do anything. He goes, but I still do Pilates every day, and like against their wishes, he does Pilates in his off season on
Hmm.
his time is down, right? So I use that a lot to say, like, if he does it, you should be doing it. So the elite athletes get it, and they're trying to get that edge and that upper. So that's what I use to get men to
Right.
speak to it, and then maybe show them a picture, whatever. So
Yeah. I've in the past, and I was just, trying to pick your brain and just kind of see, what are other different, what are some other ways to present it. I know in the past I've used Antonio Brown before he was,
yes,
acting crazy for a little bit.
right,
Um,
yeah,
because there's an awesome video, you've probably seen it,
hmm
of him doing Pilates. And I was like, oh
the
yeah,
video,
this is great.
yeah,
Yeah, the video, this is
right,
great.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he's an elite athlete. He's killing it right now with the Tampa Bay, but that's
hmm
neither here nor
Right.
there.
But
Yeah,
yeah, like those images. But even as much as those images are great, like they just have to feel it, right? And
exactly.
we were talking about that earlier this week. Guys, they just have to feel it no matter how many pictures you sold. Just get them on, like, even if it costs you like 3 free sessions just to get them to feel it in their bodies. And you don't have to crush them. You just have to get them to move like they've never moved before, and they're
Right.
in.
Exactly.
right? Like I can get a
Exactly.
guy touching his toes like in the first session who hasn't touched his toes in like 15 years. Then
Mm-hmm.
he's there, he's in. You know, his wife can drag him in, and then the wife will stop doing Pilates, and the guy will keep going
You know,
because
keep going. Yep.
he's in.
I've seen that a lot of times, actually. I've seen that quite a bit, where, like you said, the wife will bring him in, and then the guy will stay, and she'll be like, "Oh, something's going on," or who knows, whatever
Right.
else
Yeah.
happens.
He's like,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah. Yeah, you got me talking passion, man. Like that's it for me. Like that is I could go on that angle forever. But that's me. And also this is my little pet peeve with it is when women are on here and they say I brought a guy in and I just crushed him in the workout. I just buried him and he was sweating pools. I'm like, you don't
Yeah.
have, I mean,
You don't have
yes,
to
some
do
guys,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
some guys need that. Some
Mhm.
people need to be humble them, like, that. But at the same time, that's not the only way to sell somebody Pilates is to
Mm-mm.
just mangle them with the workout. Like you can get them walking away and then they'll feel it when they walk and their hips are open and they're like,
Right.
that sort of thing too, or they posture, they physically walk out taller than when they come in. That'll do just
Hmm.
as much as you making them do teasers for 45 minutes. So,
Right. Exactly. Because I've had a guy, he's like, yeah, like since we've been working together, I can feel like my front squats, like I can get down a lot more lower than I could. And I'm like, right on,
yes.
man. So, it's stuff like that where they're able to improve what they're already doing. Like that's really
Right.
what I love about
Hmm.
the work and I love about Pilates, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Well, that's part of my story with my training when I did my apprenticeship. And Chris Robinson was teaching us, and he was saying when he did his teacher training many years ago, Ramona told him to stop working out. He came, as he's a Muay Thai fighter, track guy, football guy. So he came in heavy, and she's like, you're not going to get Pilates in your body when you're that heavy, when you're that strong, when you're that muscle bound. So you stop working out. So, it was tough for him, but eventually he did it. So when he was teaching us, he shared that story, and I was like, okay, challenge accepted. And for 18 months, I didn't do any resistance training. Like I completely stopped lifting
Hmm.
and just did Pilates in the hopes of getting Pilates in my body, getting that open. Because if my same movement patterns were making me strong in some areas and weak in some areas
Hmm.
all the time. So I needed to kind of just ease off that and get in my body. And, I lost probably about 5 to 7 pounds, lost, my body fat percentage changed, all those different things. I was physically lighter, but I was stronger. My flag football season, I was faster. I haven't been injured in years. So,
Wow.
you know what I mean? So for me, that was a real challenge to say, okay, Pilates can be the only thing you do. As much as I'm a big, TRX guy and squats and deadlifts and all that stuff, you can get away with it if you understand enough of the system with just doing it.
Right. Right.
And two, I'm just flat out stronger now. I'm a little bit lighter, but I'm so much stronger for that time where I pulled away from everything just to focus on it. So it's just interesting how your body responds to it.
Yeah, you're definitely spot on. And that's something that Cecile was telling me, I want to say maybe a couple of months ago. She was telling me and explaining to me, she's like, once you learn the full system of everything, you'll realize
Hmm.
that truly Pilates is all you need. And of course, I think it's important too to add a little bit of cardio just to kind of help with
Yes.
your heart health. So,
Yep.
maybe going for a run is something that
Hmm.
I've been incorporating or that I've been incorporating. But since the new year, outside of like just pole dancing, because I love it,
Yes.
I've been only doing Pilates. And I took a picture of when I
Mm.
started that Pilatesology challenge, so I'm gonna see what it looks
Good.
like at the end of 30 at the end of the 30 day. I'm just gonna see. I'm gonna see where
Yes.
we're at. But I definitely already feel some changes in my bodies because I've been
Hmm.
consistently doing Pilates every day since the
Yes.
challenge started. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
been
yeah.
great.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you said about the cardio and the heart health, it's so funny because I mean you can find that cardio within the Pilates work. You can
Mm-hmm.
find the strength of the Pilates. Like you have to dig deep for it. Like don't get me
You do.
wrong. Like I mean, when I stopped working out and we were in our basic module, like the first module, I went through like this dip because that serotonin that release from exercising, from picking heavy stuff up and putting it back down, I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
getting that. And then because I was really focusing to pass that basic, I was just doing the basic exercise, and that wasn't enough either. So like my wife saw like I was down. I was in a funk because I wasn't getting enough of high from my lift. And
Right.
my Pilates, because I narrowed it down to be able to get proficient with that, wasn't enough to fill that gap either.
Hmm.
So there was a little bit of a time when it was like, yeah, I need more. So once I've
Right.
down to the advanced and then you can find those different pieces within the work that are a challenge for you, then I understand how it can be complete. But at first, that was really, really a tough challenge.
Right. And
Yeah.
I want to say that's where I probably am in my current practice right now is that
Mhm.
I'm still trying to get more comfortable with the full system because I just did my intermediate level with peak and then I
Mhm.
have the Club Pilates cert, which is, a bit more contemporary. And
Yes.
so I think once I get the level 3 and then continue to go beyond, I'll be able
Yes.
to dive a little bit deeper.
Yes.
And hopefully, because I like you, I just love that feeling of like, yeah, I'm crushing it. Or when I'm running on the treadmill, it's
Yes.
that's that runner's high that I really
Yes.
enjoy getting. Or when I'm
Yep.
lifting like you, when I'm lifting heavy weights, I
Mhm.
feel it. And so I'm hoping like how you've experienced that I am able to find that work and just
Yes.
really like dig after and get it. But I will say I don't think I will ever stop lifting or ever stop running because I just love it.
Yeah.
I will say that,
Yeah.
but
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think there is definitely more to the system, and I can't wait to explore it. I got another
Absolutely.
what 60, 70 years maybe, so I got time.
Exactly. You got time.
I
That's what I'm
got
saying.
time.
Like that, I mean, that 18 months, I hated my life for 18 months, but now that that's so far gone, it's just like, that was just like, it seemed like it was just a couple days I stopped for, right? But like in the
Right,
midst of it, yeah. But I
right,
mean, yeah, the work is there, and the more you dive deep in the work, you'll find it, and yeah, it's there.
yeah,
It
for
is
sure.
there. Yeah. So we'll line up a workout at some point too. I can take you through some of the advanced exercises
Yes,
and
I would
so
love
forth.
that.
Yeah, that'll
I
be
would love
super
that.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Ideal client. Throw down for a
I
strong
know.
person.
I'm like, woo!
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Virtual high
Yes,
five.
exactly. And the so Steele's point here, Joe wanted us to use it towards activities we enjoy. So yes, run and lift. And that's
Yes.
exactly it. And I keep telling my clients that too. Like we're at 57 minutes. This has flown by.
I
But
know.
and that's the thing I always say to people too, like Joseph Pilates, like it Pilates is to help with ease of life, to assist you in the things that you do in your everyday life to make it better, right? So
Hmm.
you know, Pilates for people in the army, Pilates for guys playing
Exactly.
football, Pilates for the Serena Williams out there. It's
Hmm.
for something. So
Hmm. And
yeah,
pole
so
dancing. Pole
and pole
dancing.
dancing. Exactly.
Yeah,
No
definitely gonna
doubt.
use those lats. Definitely. The
Yes.
springboard. Yeah, you definitely can use a lot of that
Yep.
with being on pole, so it's great.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. Honestly, such a
Yes.
great chat. Loved it.
Yes, this was awesome. I'm really glad that, you allowed me to come on here. This was awesome. I feel really good. Like this is
Good.
great.
I'm so glad.
Serotonin's high.
There you go. You didn't feel like intimidated anymore, like seeing, okay, I had this
I
person last
did at
week.
first
Did
because
you
I was
really?
like, I did. Whenever I do something new, I always get like these like little knots in my stomach or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, I did. I did, and like you're super famous now, so I'm like, so
You're
yeah,
no, like those are yeah, you're hardcore, man. This is pregame jitters, like just let's go. And you brought
yeah,
it today. So
yes, yeah. Thanks
yes.
again for having me. I appreciate it, and
My
thanks for everybody
pleasure.
for commenting and talking. And this is great.
Yes. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna sign you off. Thanks again.
All right, take care.
Take care.